The Guardian, 26th of March 2023, recent accusations and a resignation strain relations between China and Canada. The sudden resignation of a Canadian lawmaker over claims that he met secretly with a Chinese ambassador has intensified a dispute over claims that Beijing interfered in Canadian elections. It has brought attention to the two nations' complicated and frequently tense relationship. According to reports, Han Tao, a member of the ruling Liberal Party, met with Han Tao, China's consul general, in February 2021 to urge Chinese officials to put off releasing Canadians Kovrig and Spavor, who were being held in China at the time. Tao acknowledged the meeting but vehemently refuted the claims regarding the discussion. He left the ruling party on Wednesday night to serve as an independent. The resignation followed a string of disclosures by the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, about claimed interference in the 2021 federal election by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. The allegations have prompted a renewed focus on China and Canada's relationship, which both want to establish commercial ties despite a deteriorating political relationship. Justin Trudeau took a legacy from his father, Pierre Trudeau, who was one of the first Western leaders to recognize the People's Republic of China, with him when he was elected Prime Minister in 2015. Pierre Trudeau Elder was the first Canadian Prime Minister to travel to the PRC and meet Mao Zedong in 1973. When Justin Trudeau Jr. assumed office in 2015, he pledged to improve Canada's relationship with China. However, things worsened, particularly after Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou was detained in Vancouver in 2018. Kovrig and Spavor were detained shortly after her arrest and held for almost 3 years before being released after Meng was set free in a deal with U.S. prosecutors. Guy Saint-Jacques, the former Canadian ambassador to China from 2012 to 2016, said, "It took a long time for the political class, especially the Liberal government, to acknowledge that China has changed a great deal under Xi Jinping." Saint-Jacques asserted that the deteriorating relationship was partly due to the close friendship between Trudeau and the head of China. "There is bad blood," he said, adding that the Chinese were not impressed with Trudeau's first formal trip to Beijing in 2016. Trudeau's understanding of China was outdated, and he had no idea who Xi Jinping was as a leader. "The band hasn't grown more robust over time," according to Saint-Jacques. Despite the challenging circumstances, Canada has tried to show that it can compete globally with its more potent neighbor, the United States. However, some are concerned that the allegations of electoral meddling demonstrate China's confidence in its ability to influence Canada. Gloria Fung, the head of the network of community organizations known as Canada-Hong Kong Link, claimed that Beijing is using Canada as a backdoor to the U.S. She claimed that for more than 20 years, her organizations have been monitoring CCP influence in Canada, including claims of disinformation and electoral meddling. According to Margaret McQuaig-Johnston, a senior associate at the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa, "China attempts to make us feel small and vulnerable. They're treating us like they have permission to rig our elections," one person said. Trudeau has stated that he will designate an independent special investigator to investigate the allegations of Chinese interference. Canada is currently working to create a registry of foreign agents. However, McQuaig-Johnston noted that China appeared to have faced few repercussions due to its activities. She remarked that the Chinese embassy employees must be laughing uncontrollably right now at what appears to be a free pass on what they've been up to in recent years. "Because of our previous bad behavior, they're treating us like a weaker nation." The most comparable example of navigating a partnership with China is Australia. Australia, like Canada, is a part of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, but it also has strong commercial ties with China and a sizable Chinese diaspora. The current political tensions conceal that China's appetite for Canadian coal, wood pulp, and pork has only gotten stronger in recent years. In 2022, trade between the two nations reached a new high, with exports of $27.9 billion Canadian dollars and imports from China totaling $100 billion Canadian dollars, $73 billion US dollars. However, China has a history of using economic pressure to advance its political objectives. At the height of the Meng impasse, China stopped importing pork and canola oil from Canada. Canada, a nation that heavily depends on trade and the free flow of products, is unable to react to such economic pressure without running the risk of receiving harsher penalties. The difficulty is exacerbated by Canada's geographic, economic, and cultural connections to the U.S. Washington has demonstrated a similar readiness to challenge economic norms and enact trade or sanction restrictions as Beijing has. China is aware that, given the US's overwhelming economic might, taking harsh action against it will result in a more significant fallout. However, it is more ready and likely to put those measures into effect against weaker nations like Canada, according to Jia Wang, the acting director of the University of Alberta's China Institute. Despite the stressful political climate, Canada must continue to comprehend and cooperate with China, according to Wang. He added that it was in Canada's best interest to adopt a more nuanced strategy that acknowledged Ottawa's growing annoyance and its significant economic dependence on an increasingly unpredictable partner. She declared, "We must defend Canadian values. But we also can't take the chance of turning our heads and losing our connection. It's not in the best interests of anyone, particularly not Canada."